Hey there folks, my name is Joey DeAngelis. I am your host for Silent Film Saturday. This is episode number 43 where I discussed Victor Seastrom's The Phantom Carriage from 1921. In this production we have Edith, someone from the Salvation Army who is trying to convince David Home, played by Victor Seastrom himself, to seek redemption and salvation. However, this character of David Home refuses. And one New Year's Eve, while Edith is on her deathbed, David Home is the last person to die on New Year's Eve, meaning he has to become the carriage rider for the next year for death. Now let me show you this packaging. This is a beautiful cover art featuring the death carriage in the film. It's really just fascinating, and they continue this artwork throughout the packaging. So that's really nice, and it also translates onto the main menu as well. Get that off. Sorry about that. This is the back of the package, and the supplemental content includes 2 scores, an audio commentary track, an interview with Ingmar Bergman from the documentary Victor Seastrom: A Portrait, the Bergman Connection, a visual essay on the connection between Bergman and Seastrom, footage of the construction of the studio where the Phantom Carriage was in. It was the inaugural production, subtitle translation, and a booklet with an essay. And that's the supplemental content of the film. Like I said, this is a story about redemption and salvation, so there's going to be a lot of religious, excuse me, religious themes out there. This is, you know, I mean, think what you will with religion and all that stuff, but it's a very good movie otherwise, if you don't, you know, even if you're not a very religious person. Unlike some, you know, silent film overly religious movies like Shadows. That's not a very good film, but Phantom Carriage uses the religious themes to its advantage. The character of David Home, played by Victor Seastrom, is an interesting one. He's an alcoholic, he has tuberculosis, and he has a wife and kids, but he hasn't really been, you know, faithful to them. He's just been drinking with his friends and doing bad things. And at one point in the story, there's a little thing that happens in the movie which is kind of reminiscent of what we would later see in The Shining, where he takes an axe and he's taking the door down to, you know, see his kids, but his wife's preventing him from doing so because he has tuberculosis. But David Home is never like an over-the-top caricature. He is his own character, and he's a very, even if you don't like him as a character, you understand him, and I think he's a really well-acted performance by Seastrom. The other characters are also rather good, namely the wife of David Home and the character of Edith, the character that is really one of the centerpieces of the film, because the whole crux of it is him trying to ask for her forgiveness and things like that. And the last thing she wants to do before she dies is, you know, she wants to see David Home, because she feels that she, you know, failed him. She failed God, and she feels if she doesn't do that, she is not pure. And I think that's a really powerful theme. And you know, if you look at it, if this was like a modern Hollywood production, that would be like a love interest, and it would be really stupid. And I don't mind love interests. I mean, you're talking to a guy whose favorite movie is Casablanca, but it would just be so easy for Hollywood to remake this and have it, you know, have the Edith character be a love interest. And I gotta give Seastrom credit for that. He was an excellent filmmaker. He also directed The Wind and He Who Gets Slapped, one of my all-time favorite Lon Chaney films. So it understands, like, you know, human beings and things like that, of that nature. Obviously, I can't talk about this film without discussing the special effects, which includes a lot of superimposition, meaning one image overlapping another. So let's just say, like, the effects in the film involve, like, ghosts and death. So if I did a superimposition, I would be partially transparent, and the rest of the background would be, you know, what it is. And they had to do careful observations of, you know, how fast they were cranking the camera, what frame rate, and what positions the characters were in, because there's important scenes where Victor Seastrom's character has to rise up from his dead body, and there's other scenes where you see shots of the ocean and you see Death's carriage is riding on the ocean, and that's such a really stark and wonderful special effect. Today it would be done by, you know, a computer, and it would be pretty cool, but this is amazing because it's a camera technique that's, you know, all but dead, and it's just amazing. And you see the carriage riding in other places too, in front of other areas, and it's really impressive what they're able to do with the special effects. Very impressive stuff. The musical score is also rather good. It's depressing at times, but also somewhat heartwarming and sentimental. That's all I really have to say about the score. I didn't get a chance to listen to the second score available on the set, but I'm sure that's of a certain quality as well. This silent film does have some depressing moments, but I think at the end of the day, it's very hard. At the end, it's kind of a uplifting silent film, and I would probably have to say it's one of the best films I've reviewed on Silent Film Saturday because of the performances, the direction by Victor Seastrom, the cinematography, and the visual effects, and also some of the supplemental features on this disc are rather good. The Bergman connection is a great supplement, and it connects Bergman, who would later direct Seastrom in films like Wild Strawberries, which would have been a perfect Silent Links episode, and talks about his other film works and how they differ, but how very similar they are at the same time. So, thank you for watching this installment of Silent Film Saturday. I'm your host, Joey DeAngelis. Next week, I shall be starting my Joseph von Sternberg series, which for the next 3 weeks I'll be discussing films from the Joseph von Sternberg box set that's available through Criterion. And the film I'll be reviewing next week is Underworld. See you guys next week.